Bunny Roads knows don't fuck you.
If you're watching Universal Groove, I have Jackie Mendez. So the first thing I want to start off with is just where did you grow up? What city did you grow up in?
So I'm from South El Monte, California. I pretty much grew up in South El Monte, California, all around the SGV. I've lived pretty much all over the SGV. I went to school in South El Monte for the most part. So I would say like this is definitely my hometown where I grew up. I was even born here at the local hospital. So yeah, I would definitely say like South El Monte, San Gabriel, SGV areas where I grew up, where I'm from.
Cool. And then what was it like in the household, like just growing up? Was there a lot of music with your parents? Were they playing music for you? Were they performing? What were they doing that just kind of maybe inspired you to be a performer?
I think it was mostly like my dad. He's always brought instruments home. Like he would just buy random instruments, drums. I remember he bought a karaoke machine and it was over. Like I wasn't the type to just, want to be performer right away. I was pretty shy. So a lot of the times like I would just try to be alone and like, just sing and listen to music, by myself. But yeah, my dad definitely brought around a lot of like music, instruments, and that's kind of like what got me into, kind of pulled me in and made me want to play music, because I was just like literally like the second I saw my dad like messing around with the piano or anything like that, I was just super gravitated towards it, and I kind of knew right away like, oh, I dig this, cool. I was like attracted to it right away. So that was kind of the vibe. Like my dad would just, bring random instruments and I would just like mess around with them. There was like music, Hispanics, they like bumping their music all the time. And so yeah, definitely like different types of music, a lot of like, Spanish music, just all that kind of stuff. And same with my mom's side, they listen to their music and parties, family parties, you heard all the music, all the fun music. So that's kind of how it was. I would say that that's what made me want to play, is just, seeing all the instruments my dad would bring home and just being gravitated towards, wanting to play the instruments and learn them and just mess around with them.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting about you, that, I feel that it kind of sets you apart from a lot of, not only artists, but for women, is that you play guitar. And so when did that start happening? When did you start picking up the guitar and really getting into it?
The first time I decided to pick up the guitar, I was in 8th grade, I think, like in middle school. And my dad was, he worked late shifts, so my grandma and my grandparents would watch me for the most part, me and my brothers. So it was always like my grandparents and me and my brothers. So my brother would kind of go off and like hang out with his homies, and I remember just saying, screw it, I'm gonna get the guitar out. Like my dad didn't even know that like I got it I knew where he put it, so I'm like, I'm just gonna like mess around with it, And so yeah, it just started from there. That's literally like that day when I decided to do that, I was hooked. Like every day after school I would just like bust it out. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just kind of taught myself. I feel like I grew an ear, like I have an ear. So at that time, I wasn't even playing the right chords, but it sounded like the song because I was kind of like, oh yeah, there you go, that's the note, okay. And I got excited because I think that was when I realized like, oh, like I can kind of, pick up on things. But I didn't realize that I had an ear. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just going with the flow. And after that, I just kept trying to play. And then I would, meet people that actually knew how to play, like in school. And that was cool too. And yeah, just learning on my own and just watching other people, and my dad too.
And then as far as singing goes, were you just trying to sing at that time too? Or not really, I just want to play guitar?
I have always liked singing ever since I was little, but like I said, I was really shy about singing for some reason. Like I had this weird stage fright. I didn't like singing in front of people. Like I'm telling you, it's crazy because you wouldn't think, right? Like everybody sees me now and they're like, oh my God, like, you get so into it and you're so outgoing on stage. I think it just with time, you know, you just get more and more comfortable and you start just saying, fuck it, like this is me and I'm just gonna let go and be free on stage and have a good time. But at that time, singing was more like scary for me. So it was more like of a thing I would do like by myself, but I liked doing it. But I felt like with an instrument, it was like, you're still playing and, you know, but you're not like as on the spot because you're kind of hiding behind an instrument. So that was kind of like my thing. I think that's why I really liked, you know, playing guitar at first, because it was a way to kind of play but not have to sing out loud right away.
And then was there anybody that kind of took you under their wing? Was it maybe your father or maybe a teacher that you knew that kind of took you under the wing and really taught you how to play guitar? Or has it just always been by ear?
It's always been by ear, to be honest, and just, you know, meeting people growing up, and then, you know, they're kind of playing stuff and you just watch them and you're like, all right. And I've had like a couple cousins too that I remember clearly. I was really young. I was like probably in the 5th or 6th grade, and I have these 2 cousins from Guadalajara and they're actually like play metal. And at the time, like, I wasn't into, you know, all the stuff I was into. I was kind of starting to, you know, get into music, but I was still, you know, finding my identity and, you know, all that when you're young. And I remember I was like, whoa, they play like crazy music. But I thought it was cool, and he was playing like Nirvana and stuff like that too. And I remember I thought it was so dope that he could just play somebody else's song, and it's like, you know, I just got excited just seeing him do it. So it really made me like want to learn how to play guitar too. So I remember that was like another time where I was like, oh man, like that's really cool. I want to be able to play songs that I like. I like the idea of that. So I think just watching, you know, people and seeing the bands that I like kind of just got me into playing.
What was the artist that just totally just blew your mind and really changed your life, even till now, like that you can look back on at a young age? Was there a specific band?
I would say definitely No Doubt, man. I mean, they were just around like at that time, and I think just seeing a young, beautiful woman and like she's just so confident and just getting crazy on stage and kind of like being one of the guys but still being like herself, being feminine. And I just got super attracted to that idea of, you know, just seeing her give no fucks pretty much and do her thing up there. And that like really just inspired me to like, I just looked up to her so much. And just the music, it was fun and it was different. They were their own like entity, and I just really admired that about them. So when I heard them and I started listening to like other stuff, that's just like what gravitated me towards them for sure, and other music. But they were like the ones that kind of just inspired me to want to like make music. Because I know like Tragic Kingdom was like their big album, but I feel like when I started listening to their older albums, that's when I was like, holy shit, this is dope. Oh my God, they're amazing. And then when I learned more about the band itself and how independent they were and how they started from the ground up, I mean, it was just like so admirable that, you know, they worked so hard and made their own style and got like pieces of things that they were inspired by and recorded their own stuff, and they all worked together and wrote their own songs. And I just really admired that about them, and I think that's what really made me want to be on stage. And I'm like, man, like she's doing it, and I just got attracted to that, so it made me want to do it too. It inspired me to want to do the same. to K-Rock's Inland Invasion at the time. It was the 20 years of punk rock, and I swear to you, that show was one of the shows that just made me say, man, like, I love this music. This is who I am. Like, you know, and I was so young. I was like 13, I think, when I went. So I always look back on that because I was so young and I got to experience so many badass bands in one night. And I went in my first pit that day too, and that was fucking scary. There's a bunch of like huge dudes in there, but I think just the adrenaline and the excitement that I felt seeing a band live, I was just like, I don't care. Like, I just want to like live the full experience right now, and I just soak it all in, and I feel like I really did at that time. And I remember seeing X, and I didn't even know who they were. I was like, who is that? But I saw a guy and a girl singing, and that just caught my attention. And they were singing like harmonies, but not like your ordinary harmonies that you would just like instantly, okay, that's the note. They like jump from like scale to scale, and it just worked. And just their style was different. It was like punk, but it was like rock and roll, and it had like rockabilly and just, I don't know, they were just so innovative to me, and they blew my mind. And I immediately went and got their album, and I remember just listening to it all the time in my room. And they were just one of those bands that like totally caught my attention. And then, you know, you hear them talk about their influences, and then I just kind of started checking different bands out. But I would say like all those bands were like really influential to me, like all the ska stuff. And then just, you know, it's funny, I remember being like really little, and like old school Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, like their vocal abilities were like, damn, like that's like them really singing, you know, those chicks owned it. And, you know, beside, you know, having like those pop songs, like they had like mad talent, you know, and it's like flawlessness that you just hear in powerhouse voices. So I was always attracted to that too. You know, artists like Etta James and Mary Wells, and dude, the list goes on, you know. I just got into different styles and just different artists that inspired me. It's kind of hard for me to like put it in a list because I get kind of like a brain fart when I'm on the spot and people ask me that, because there's just like so much music and artists that I love that inspired me throughout the years. So, but definitely in my early years, I would say like from No Doubt and like, you know, bands like that were like the ones that really opened my eyes to like not just ska music, but like even just like punk rock too, you know?
Yeah, we kind of touched on it a little bit before about, you know, going into a record shop and that experience of spending your own money to get this, you know, the record or the CD. Was there a time is there a first CD that you remember buying with your own money?
Yeah, I remember I got like, I feel like I keep mentioning them, like No Doubt, and then I got an Offspring CD, like their one of their early CDs. It was called Jennifer Lost the War. And then I remember buying a Descendants CD, and then Real Big Fish, and who else did I buy at the time? I don't know, I just bought a bunch of like random stuff. Oh, Punkorama compilations, like stuff like that. I would like buy that stuff all the time, and I would go to Tower Records in West Covina. Like that's like my, dude, that was like the spot. Like if you were in the SGV and you grew up around the area, that's where you went. Like honestly, it was dope. It was huge. I used to get all my concert tickets there. I would like wait in line like the good old days. And then I would go in there and buy like the used section. I remember going to the warehouse. There was one like in Glendora, because I lived in Azusa. And me and my brother would walk to the warehouse, and we would just go through like the used section and see what we could find. And that's where I found like, you know, bands like Suicide Machines and Descendants and Real Big Fish, Dance Hall Crashers, Lockjaw, like that album. And just like all those bands and the Bad Religion, like all those bands like that I just wanted to get into because I heard their songs and I'm like, oh, I want to get their CDs. So that's like kind of what I remember buying back in the day, like my first CDs.
What was cool about Tower Records is I remember like there was one by my house, and driving by and you would see like the big billboard like you know, Sublime's coming out, like their new album or something was coming out, and they would make a big picture of it, and you're like, oh, I gotta get there. Like, oh, what day is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Like that was so cool. And then even like waiting in line for the tickets. Like kids will never know that these days. Like,
Dude, I know, I feel bad. They're missing out. Like, now it's so easy, everything's so accessible, which is very, you know, convenient. But I don't know, there's something about that excitement of like going on the day that that album comes out, or like wanting to get your hands on it and looking at the artwork and reading the lyrics and singing along. And like, I would do that. I was like always doing that. I'm like, oh, do they have the lyrics in here? Because I wanted to learn the song. So like, you know, just that whole feeling of like going in the record store and looking around and just like, you know, buying that new record that just came out, or buying something like old that you got into and you want to like listen to. So
yeah, and I also remember about Tower Records is like everyone that worked there was so fucking cool. Like you had to be cool to work there. You couldn't just work there. Like you had to have crazy stupid piercings. You had to have like, you had to have, like purple hair, like something stupid, but like I mean,
yeah, like just that whole vibe for
you
sure.
had to have the vibe. You couldn't just work there. Like I've been trying to.
Yeah, like you had to know your shit for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, that was just a cool experience. Like to go in Tower, and I had so many dumb Tower experience. I remember I bought like all these CDs. I thought it was cool. Like, if I had money, I bought like all these CDs. I'm like, I know I have enough in my bank account, and I just bought like all this stuff. And the guy's like, decline. I was like,
oh no, how sad.
oh, you know how Tower was too. It was like, dude, you went to Tower like on Saturday. It was like a big ass line, like people just buying CDs. It was like, fuck.
I know, it was so dope. I miss Tower Records so much. Like, it's sad to see the building there, and it's like, I don't know, like when they closed, it was like really sad. It was like an end of an era. Like honestly, when I was like seeing all these record stores closing, it was really sad. Yeah. Because that's like your childhood right there. That's like your memories, and you're like, what? They're closing, but why? And then even just like local record stores. Like I also like lived in Covina for a while, and they had like their downtown area, and there was like probably 3 different record stores there, and they were dope. And I would find a bunch of cool shit there, and they closed too. So the only one that made it was Chaos Records, but they even moved from that area. But I mean, I remember back in the day it was called Hot Rocks, and like that was like the place to go. I would like literally be like, Mom, can you take me to this area? I want to see and my mom was so cool. Like I'm so grateful. Like I would tell her like that I wanted to go to a certain place like that, and she would take me, like, and she would let me browse and, you know, do my thing. So that was cool. So it was definitely sad seeing all the record stores close, but that's kind of like my memories, like going there and browsing and buying that record that you wanted. That was always a good feeling.
Do you remember like your first show? Do you remember your first show that you bought, like your own money? Like I'm going, like my parents don't know, or maybe they do know, but I'm going to this show, and that experience?
I would say like my first show I remember, like where I was like, I gotta go, was probably Warped Tour. Sorry Mom, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna go after school, after summer school. I had to go to stupid summer school all the time, Mensa. And so I was like, oh, we're gonna go after, it starts after. And I didn't go after, I didn't even go to school. I went, and my friend's mom took us in her freaking SUV and dropped us off. And I look back and I'm like, how the hell were we there all day? We got there when it started. Like the beauty of being like so young, like you get there when it starts till the very end and you're fine. Now I cannot do that. I'd be like, oh man, I'm tired, I want to go home, like my feet hurt or something stupid. But you have like that adrenaline, you're young, you're excited. So I remember Warped Tour was definitely one of those first shows where I like saved up my centavitos and like got a ticket, and my friend's like, let's go, like my mom will take us. And you know, I had to kind of lie sometimes, and I wasn't doing anything bad, you know. I was just trying to go see bands that I liked, and I just wanted to go have a good time. I didn't do anything bad, I swear. I was just like all about wanting to see the bands and hanging out with my friends, and that's what we did. And we got there like at 12 and stayed there till the very freaking end. Like that was one of the shows where I was like, That was like my first experience with my friends going to a show. It was like old school Warped Tour. It was the shit. It was so fun.
Hi, I'm Jackie Mendez, and I'm from South El Monte, California. This song's called Should I? I saw you the other day. Something just doesn't feel the same. Then there's tears go down my face. I just don't know what to say. Baby, I loved you, do anything for you. Now you've gone away. Yes, you did. I should've known better. Should've known better from the start. Whoa, should I forget him? Should I forget him? I need to know. Now. Should I forget him? Should I forget him? Yes, I need to know. Yeah, yeah. Wishing things went a different way. So they say some things are meant to be. Can't figure out just what went wrong. We make mistakes, thought we'd carry on. But things are changing, it's all so distant. You're a world away. Yes, you are. What do you have to? What do you have to my heart? Whoa, should I forget him? I need to know. Should I forget him? I still love him so. Yeah, yeah. Should I forget him? I need to know. Should I forget him? Yes, I need to know. I need to know. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, yeah. Should I forget him? Yes, I need to know. I need to know now. I need to know. Should I forget him? Yes, I need to know. I need to
When was the first time that you just like said, you know what, I want to be in a band, like this is it, like did you meet somebody along the way, or did you throw out an ad? How did you get started in
So I was in band. I was like a super band nerd, and I'm so glad that I did that because it just gave me like such a great understanding of like music and timing and tone and what's sharp, what's flat, and are you on beat, and you know, just all those factors. So that definitely totally stepped up like my knowledge as far as being in band. And you know, automatically you see horn players and you're like, I knew I wanted to start a ska band. I was in high school and I remember like I had friends in band, they played trombone, and I was like, dude, and they were getting into the music too. I'm like, let's start a ska band, you know? That was like so easy because it's like you get the band people like to play in. Yeah, that's kind of how it started. I hit them up and I'm like, dude, like, let's start a band. But we didn't have any equipment. I didn't have an amp. I didn't have anything. I just had a little bass amp, which I still have till this day. It was like a little crate amp, and my Squire bass, which I still have. And that was kind of how it started. I wanted to play bass, and then I got some friends, and my friend, I told her, oh, like, you could sing. And then, because she was like getting into the music as well, my friend Heather. And I remember telling her, like, you could sing and I'll play bass. And I was kind of the one like, oh, I have this song. And I just started writing. And they were like so silly. Like, I'm like so embarrassed because it's like such like, it's funny, you know, I was starting out. So the songs were like really basic and stuff. And I would just show them the songs, and I started just kind of like, all right, let's play this song. Let's do this. Let's practice. Like, I kind of was the one like getting the ball rolling and trying to get everybody together. And that's when it started for me, you know, in high school, just that band. And then I remember the first show I ever played, like in front of people, was at my high school, South El Monte High School. They had Battle of the Bands. Like, that was the first year that they did that. And I was so excited. I'm like, hell yeah, like, this is so dope that they're doing this. This is an opportunity for us to play. Dude, it was so crazy. Like, I never played off of a big amp. I was so lost. I couldn't hear myself. Like, I didn't know shit about sound, you know? So I'm like, dude, I can't hear myself. What's going on? But I was just going with it. And after a while, I was like, screw it. Like, I'm just gonna have a good time. So I was just jumping around, and it was dope because we had our friends, and like I had my cousins there, and they've always like supported me, and they were like so little at the time. And they were so excited to see me like performing, and they were all dancing around and like into it. So you kind of have like your little crew, you know? So I remember those days were so fun. That's kind of how it started for me. And then from there, like a lot of people, I mean, we didn't win or anything, but but the point is, like, we did something, and nobody else there was no other girls in bands, like, at all. We were the only ones at that show. So I think that tripped a lot. And we were the only ska band. No one even was into ska at my high school. So there was maybe a few people, but a lot of people were kind of like, what the hell, you know? But they dug it. They were like, all right, like, this is cool. And we had energy, so they were about it. It was something different.
What was the build up to that? Like, were you guys like grinding to play that show? Like, because that's always
yeah.
Like, okay, so you got, how many songs did you guys prepare for that show? Was it just one song that you guys were practicing over and over?
We had about five or six songs.
Wow.
And I think they were all originals. We
Wow.
like just wrote them. Yeah, I grinded them, dude. I was like, let's do it. Like, I was just so into it, and I was like so excited to finally have like a full, you know, band and friends that wanted to be in it. And it was just like so fun, you know? Like, those days were dope because it's like, it was so innocent, you know? And we were just trying to play music and have a good time. And that's kind of where it started. So I just like kept writing song after song. And at that time, you're just like letting it all pour out, you know? So it's kind of like song diarrhea. Like, you're just like busting out these random songs that are probably not even that good, but it's like, let's just play them, like, because you're so pumped, you know? So that's kind of how it started. We would just practice at my friend Jessica's house and in South El Monte, and we were just like practicing at her house all the time. And her parents were so dope. Like, they like enjoyed us like playing there, and they always like were supportive. So we were really lucky to have that. And we would also practice in the band room because my band teacher, he was super cool about it too. And yeah, we were just, wherever we could practice, we did.
Now, in your school, like, you know, performing and doing that, like, are you getting that love, like, after, like, okay, like, you know, Jackie, like, she's cool, you know, like, she's in it, like, she's writing songs.
Yeah, like, there was a lot of supportive people, and there was definitely people that weren't as supportive, but I didn't care, because I don't know, I think I was just so, like, pumped about it, and I found my niche. I was like, this is what I do now. Like, I want to play music, and I'm gonna enjoy it, and I don't care what anybody thinks. You know, like, luckily I kind of got like that courage right away, because I think I just got like addicted to that feeling, and it didn't even matter like what people thought or who was there. Like, I was just having fun. It's like the audience was blank to me.
This one's called Endless Memory.
of you for staying around, dancing around, singing with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Again, I'm Jackie Mendez from Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much, all of you.
You know, performing is a really, really beautiful thing. You know, seeing a live performance, you know, even when, you know, we DJ and playing in front of a crowd and you see the reaction of the crowd, like what goes through your heart, what goes through your veins, like when you're about to go on stage and then when you're on stage, what is going through your heart when you're playing these songs and you see people respond to your words or your music?
It's like, I don't know, it's a great feeling to see people get into it, because I think at the end of the day, it's awesome to write something that people can relate to. And I've always felt like, man, like I'm kind of helping this person through a certain time in their life, or they just like listening to my song and it makes them feel good. Like that, knowing, getting that like feedback is so awesome. Like I feel like I did it. Like even if I stopped playing like tomorrow, or like I didn't get to, like I feel like that is an accomplishment in itself, you know? So definitely I get a really happy feeling when I'm on stage and I see people singing, and it kind of like, you know, boosts you up for sure when you see people into it. And sometimes you're gonna have that kind of crowd, but I just feel like as long as you're having fun and you're into it, like people, you know, gravitate towards that, and they see that you have that energy, and then it gives them that energy, you know? You kind of like feed off of each other. And I always kind of get like anxious too before, because I'm like so ready to just go out there. Like I just want to get it, like not get it over with, but just be on stage already. I hate like that waiting time before. I'm just like, oh, I just want to do it already, come on. And then finally when you're up there, it's like, all right, it's go time. Like I'm gonna kick ass, you know? Like I try to pump myself up, because at the end of the day, you can't really depend on anybody to do that for you as an artist. Like you have to have that you know, that self-confidence, that belief that like I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna have a good time and I'm gonna just do my best. Like, and that's all you can do. You can't control how people are gonna feel, but all you can do is just be yourself. So that's what I always try to do for sure.
Yeah, and I watched this video. You did a performance in Germany, and I don't even know if anybody mostly knew English there or what, but I'm like watching this video and I'm like, I don't know if anybody knows what she's talking about, but your energy on that stage was so cool to see. And the crowd is like, you know, okay, the first song is like, all right, like, cause you know how it is at every show, like.
Yeah, like they're like, I don't know this person.
Yeah, like you have
about.
to really earn their love, especially in another country on top of that.
Hell yeah, you do.
So I just noticed on the like third, fourth song, you just kind of see like the weed going, you start seeing like people loosen up, you know, like the drinks are starting to flow all of a sudden. And I think it's because you earn that, like your energy, you're dancing on stage. But by the way, you are a very good dancer on stage. But like,
thank you.
but like your energy,
I'll try.
yeah, your energy, the way you're just like into it and you're calling the shots, and I'm like, where does this girl get this from? Like, where does she get this from? Like, it's crazy.
I don't know, it's kind of developed throughout the years, to be honest.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I think it's just the love for the music, and it's like I can't hide it. It's there. Like I hear a song and I'm just like pumped. It's very real. Like I'm not like pretending or putting on like some sort of, I mean obviously putting on a performance and there has to be structure. Like the more I grow as an artist and a performer, the more I learn, like, you have to have a plan, like, you got to put on a show, you know, like the people are there to see what you got and to have a good time. So, you know, later on I kind of like grasped that too, that idea of that, but also like I try to be as genuine as possible. Like I literally am up here because I love doing this and I love music and I'm gonna dance and I'm gonna sing and that's what I'm here for, and I'm gonna hopefully you guys like it. That's like all I could really offer, you know, as a musician and as a performer.
So you being a woman is a big deal. Like when I'm watching like your videos and watching like your presence on stage, how hard is it to be like, and I notice like everybody in your band's a guy, like how hard is it to be like the woman in the band and like just have that power? Like I feel like you're so powerful, like you're just like I don't know, like I feel like those guys are like, I'm gonna play the song because I know Jackie's gonna kick my ass if I don't play this right. Like, not like that, but like I feel like you're just a badass. Like, and I like, I could, you know, I could sort of, no, I could just see it. Like, okay, like she's not one of the guys, but like you're like just a badass. So, what is it like practicing and having like, you know, obviously there's multiple people in that band and having all those different attitudes. Like, what is it like for you as a woman being in a band?
I think for me, like I've always kind of been one of the guys. Like I don't know how to explain it because I'm like really dorky and just like always joking around and stuff, and I think that's kind of like how I break the ice with a lot of people. Like I just joke and try to be funny, and maybe to some I'm not that funny, but it's all good because I'm laughing. But you know, just like joking, not taking things so serious, you know, just being like chill and but also trying to get the job done. I think like I definitely throughout this time of like performing and kind of being the one that is in charge, like for example the label that I signed to, Angel City, like they were like, you gotta like, you know, be the boss, you gotta be the leader, you gotta be able to like have that be able to, you know, control and your band, like not like in a way where I'm telling everyone what to do, but just kind of, you know, having a plan for them so that they know like what direction to go in. And that was like really weird for me as a solo artist because I was used to being like in a band where it's like everybody had input, which they still do, but overall it's like now it feels more like, okay, I have this song, like, you know, let's do this. And I think you just kind of like earn people's respect too, like once they get to know you as a person and, you know, they see that you're passionate about what you're doing. I think that's kind of like how it happens, you know, they know that you're not messing around, that you love doing it, and you know, you just want them to be a part of it, and you just want to enjoy, you know, not only making music but being on stage with them too. Like you got to have a good like relationship and vibe with your band. I think that's super important. I mean, obviously personalities are gonna clash, and you know, even throughout the years I've been in bands where it's like some people are just, you know, the way they are, and it's a little difficult, but I think throughout the years I've kind of learned how to work with different people. I know how to work with different people, and I try to be understanding and not take things personal and just kind of go with the flow. So I try to be understanding, but also like put my foot down and say like, hey, like this is, you know, who I am, this is what I want to do. And you kind of have to have that tough attitude, and I think that's kind of helped me because I'm not like, oh, you know, this delicate little flower of a woman. I'm like, no, like I'm tough and I'm not afraid to say what I feel. And I just kind of grew up that way. I mean, even going far back as, you know, just being at school and, you know, anyone just trying to like, I don't know, to either belittle you or take advantage. It's like I've always been very like quick to be like, no, like I'm not that type of person. You're not gonna do that with me. And I let them know right away. So I think it's that tough mentality too that kind of like people take me more serious, like, you know, but not in a way where I'm trying to be intimidating or I have attitude. Like I said, I'm mostly like a jokester and I just have fun, and that's who I am, but I also have like that. I try to, you know, kind of prove like, hey, I'm not this delicate flower. Like I said, like I'm gonna say what I feel and I'm gonna be real, you know?
I want to give you guys a little cheers really quick. Cheers, everybody. This is a song called, off my EP, it's called hard to handle. Let's do this, guys.
So Angel City Records, just to kind of recap. So you were in a band. They must have
They
did their
broke up.
You guys broke up, but they must have did their homework previously and seen you guys somehow.
Yeah, they did. I've always saw. So the owners of the label are Mark Morales and Wally Caro. And Wally, I always used to see him playing in different bands. Like he's playing in C-Spot. I saw him play his older band Mobtown reunited, because they were like from back in the day, and when they reunited I got to see them and I was like, holy crap, they're dope. Like, and he also had a band called Police and Thieves, so my old band played with both of those bands, so they saw me perform with the Boss Beats And then I would always see Mark, you know, at different all-nighters. I don't know if he ever saw me perform right away with the Boss Beats, but I think Wally knew about me. And I remember him getting my number and like, you know, he liked what I was doing and I didn't hear from him. So I was like, oh, well, it's all good. Like, I didn't really like think anything of it, but then he came through, man. He hit me up and like maybe like a year or two later and they presented me with the idea, and then I saw them at a special show and the specials played in Pomona. And I was like kind of tipsy and they came up to me right there and they were like, hey, we want to meet up with you, you know. I'm like, okay, yeah. And they always make fun of me. They're like, dang, you were on a good one. I'm like, shut up, I was having a good time, leave me alone. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened with them. They like contact me at the perfect time. So they're very responsible for me getting into the position I'm in now as far as like being a solo artist. So I give them like all the credit for that, for sure.
Now, so they approach you, they have how many songs in the wings waiting for you to write to?
I'm trying to remember. Basically, they had a bunch of tracks. They got these, at the time, they called them the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes. And they had them record tracks, pretty much. They're just so sick that they just like took them in the room and they were like laying down a bunch of stuff. Like, I think they were kind of showing them like, this is the kind of style that we want to do, like, you know, this and that, and they just like knocked it out. And then I listened to the tracks and I kind of like auditioned. They kind of wanted to see my ability to make up something of my own, which I know it's kind of hard sometimes to find people that do that. And they wanted to see, because they asked me, you write your own songs, right? I'm like, yeah, like I write. So they kind of gave me like that challenge of, here's this track, like do whatever you want with it. And it was pretty crazy because I've never really like auditioned for anybody before like that. Like I was just like a girl from freaking SGV, man, trying to play in different bands. So this was like another type of level, you know, for me. And so I'm like, all right. So I remember writing, and then they had me sing and show them what I got, and it was like pretty nerve-wracking because it was just like them too, like just watching me. I'm all, this is so freaking awkward, but I want this and I want to make it happen, and I gotta just work what I know, work with what I got. So that's what I did, and yeah, the rest is history. We just I ended up writing songs to the tracks, and it's funny because my bass player now was he played bass on my recordings on my EP, and it's really cool because you don't realize the impression you make on people right away. Like you kind of just go in there and do your thing. Like you don't know what they're thinking or anything. You're just trying to do you, and it's cool to hear him say that he was really impressed with the way I just walked in and I had a notebook and I was like ready to go. And I remember just thinking, I'm gonna bring my notebook. I don't really know the words yet. Like literally they were like, all right, you wanna record next month, and then the month after that you're gonna have your first live show, and then you're gonna do these songs and the songs that you wrote. And I'm kind of thinking, shit, I gotta learn and memorize all these songs I just wrote on top of like, you know, other like covers and stuff. So I just walked in there and I had my notebook and I'm like, all right, this is what I wrote to these tracks, like let's do it. And they were all kind of like, whoa, like it was cool. It was cool to make that impression, and they were happy and they liked my songs, and that made me feel like so good. That's when I felt like, oh, I could do this, like I got this, you know. So that's kind of how it happened in the first recordings.
What is it like to, I mean, that's every person's, you know, anybody that's in the music biz, anybody that's, you know, a musician, their whole dream is like one day a record label giving them that love, you know, giving them that like, all right, here's the stamp, like you're signed, you're with us. What does it feel like to be signed and have someone, you know, have the music and have the recordings and have the schedule now? Like, I mean, what's going through your heart? What's going through your mind? Like, this is happening. Like, this is...
Yeah, it was trippy because I was kind of having like a hard time at the time and going through a lot of things. So it was like such a perfect time to be able to like feel empowered in that way. You know, like when you're going through shit and then something kind of good comes up, and that's like, even though you might not feel the greatest like all the time, but it's like that empowering feeling where it's like, this is mine, like this is my thing, like I'm gonna kill it, you know, like this is my baby, like I'm gonna you know, screw all the other bullshit. Like, this is my one thing that I have and I want to go for it. So it definitely felt exciting, like, you know, to go and like pick out like, oh, what am I gonna wear for the show? I've always been like about that, and just, oh, I'm gonna record and then I'm gonna have like a show and it's gonna be in LA, and it was like a big deal, you know. It was definitely like a happy time for me. Even though like a lot of things were going on, it was definitely like, it just 360'd my life. Like,
What was going on? That was so
I was
crazy.
busy and I was like, this is what matters right now. It was like a test, you know, like, are you gonna let this shit bring you down, or are you gonna, you know, embrace what you have and like let all that go and like say, no, like, I don't need that. Like, this is my time to like kind of, you know, shine and do my thing. So that's kind of how it felt. It was like, it was very testy, you know, as far as putting all the emotions, things you're going through, and just like being happy and embracing like this good thing. So that was cool to be able to do that, you know. It came like at a really good time for sure.
Well, what was the shit that was going on in your life, if you want to talk about it?
I mean, just relationship crap, you know, like typical like breakup and life stuff, you know. That's really good fuel though to write songs. So that's why I'm saying, like, you can like make something like a bad situation into art and like something good out of it. And that happened like so many times in my life with music, but I feel like it's good fuel, you know. You have stuff to write about and it just comes out because you have so much inside. And it's a good way to let it out for sure, a very positive way. So that's what I love about songwriting, is that it's like my therapy. And the fact that like I'm kind of sharing this with everybody, it's personal, but it becomes more relatable that other people could relate, and it makes you feel good because you're like, hey, I'm not alone. Like, everybody goes through this shit, you know? So that's kind of how I took it, but that was kind of what was going on at the time. And yeah, so I kind of was trying to balance like those shitty feelings, but then like embracing what I have, and like it was kind of a sign like, you don't deserve that, you have better things coming, you know. That's kind of how I took it. So that was kind of what was going on.
Yeah, so, you know, breakups can be big, and it sounds like you had two big breakups. You had the band breakup and then a relationship breakup, and then
Yeah.
it's like, so there's so much emotions going through your heart, like, what am I gonna do? You know, how am I gonna get through this?
Yeah, because you're like so comfortable like with the things you have, and then when it changes and it's like, what the hell, what am I gonna do now? But I look back and I'm like, dude, as crazy as it sounds, like, because so many people, you know, they try to tell you, oh, you know, you're gonna be okay, and you'll look back and laugh, and you're kind of like, no, I'm not, I'm freaking feel like shit right now, you know. You don't want to hear that, but then, dude, it's so true. Like, you look back and like, I'm kind of glad that happened. It was supposed to happen. Like, you realize those things happened for a reason, because you're growing, and you're growing past all that. Like, you know, you overcome it, and that's kind of how I see it, you know.
You know, when you have a song, and I'm pretty sure like for every artist that writes a song, and people can relate to that song. And have you ever had any fans come up to you and be like, man, that song like really changed my life, or I was going through that too? Has anybody ever came up to you, or do you remember a moment when someone came up to you about?
Yeah, like, I think pretty much, you know, every band I've been in, especially like the one prior to all my solo stuff, I think that's like when my songwriting ability just like really took off because of what I was going through, and it was real shit, you know. And I would get messages from like a bunch of people, not just like girls, you know, like guys too. Like, so that was dope to be able to kind of like not just target to like, oh, this is like, this song's just for women, or this song's like just for this particular group. Like, my songs are for everybody, you know. I mean, we all have emotions, men have emotions too, and I feel like a lot of the times like people see it as, oh, women are the more emotional ones and they're the ones that do this, but dude, guys feel it too. We can't forget about that. And the fact that I get messages from both it's really cool to be able to hear that my song did that, you know. And so yeah, I've had people message me and tell me, and it trips me out, like, because I'm just a regular person writing music, like I'm nothing like special, you know. And they'll be like, oh my god, your song and this and that, I love it, and I listen to it all the time, and it got me through this and that. And just reading that, it's like, wow, like I feel accomplished for sure. Like that's such a good feeling. I think out of everything, that's like my favorite to hear that, because that's what like the bands that I got inspired by, that's what they did for me. So to be able to like do the same is really rewarding for sure.
They say the nice ones finish last. I know too much about that. I guess it's all just a race, and how much you can take. I try to say how I'm feeling. You tell me, take it easy. Your mind changes like the seasons. We just can't seem to reason. So don't you put me on the back burner. So don't you put me on the back burner. Ooh.
Now you've also, I guess you're dabbling in a punk band, and this is another thing that I really enjoy about you, is that like you got the crazy style, you have a lot of styles that you like. So you love the punk, you love the ska, you love the rock. There's like different stuff that you like. So tell us a little bit about the punk band, the Rucas.
So for me, I've always wanted an all-girl band. I think just like I don't know, there's just something powerful about seeing a bunch of women on stage kicking ass. Like I've always loved that idea. And you know, like I said, I was like a big tomboy, playing guitar, playing bass. Like I didn't know a lot of people or girls that played instruments. So when you meet other women that are as passionate and like want to play music, it's like the most exciting thing ever. I mean, people in general, but when it's like, you know, you have that connection, like, oh, we're women and like we're doing this together, and it's like we're like a force to be reckoned with, you know, because we're doing it together. We're not alone. You don't feel like intimidated because you kind of have like, you know, girls by your side, like willing to do it and, you know, kind of just go for it. So I've always wanted that, but I was never able to find, you know, anybody that was, you know, all girls to start a band. And then I think as time went on, I just started meeting people that, you know, I got close to throughout the years, and we always tell each other like, damn, why didn't we know each other when we were like teenagers? We were so much alike, like we had so much in common. But you know, you cross paths with people for a reason. And I think with them, Tony, the drummer, my first band, we were called the Super Nothing. So it was me, my friend Tony, girl drummer, and then trombone player Jessica. So that was kind of where it started. Like, and that was cool to have like girls in a band playing with you, and you know, just like not giving a shit and just like being willing to kind of share the stage with you and take that chance. So with the Rucas, it's like, you know, we all knew each other, and we, as far as the other girls, they had their own projects going on. And you know, my friend Kimmy, she was always like, oh man, we should jam together one day. And I would always say, I want an all-girl band and I want a garage band. But it was just like so busy for me. Like as far as my music, that's like always gonna be my main focus. So I was really like just putting all my efforts into that. And when I felt like I kind of had like a downtime from touring and all that, and it kind of like I wasn't touring as much, and I don't know, I hit them up, and like I said, we just jammed out, and we ended up just saying, oh, let's hang out. You know, it was one of those things, we haven't seen each other, let's hang out. And then when they told me that they jammed at their house, because they all lived together, the three girls, so I'm like, what, you guys jam? Like that's like a dream to like have like musician roommates and jam out. Like that's so cool, especially like all girls, you know. So when they told me they jammed out, I'm like, I have to come over, and and they're like, oh my god, yeah. And they've always been like so supportive of me throughout the years. Like, dude, I go way back with like a lot of them, and they've been like supporting me since the like day one. So like I got mad love for them too because of that. And the fact that like we were able to get together, it just worked. Like it was fun. We were laughing, we were having, it was just like a really cool like connection that we got right away. Like we all just clicked and it worked. And then I guess it was kind of like a blast from the past kind of thing. We wanted to play a lot of the songs that we kind of grew up listening to, and it was like very nostalgic for me. Like we were playing like stuff from the Distillers, X, Old School No Doubt, Tsunami Bomb, Bikini Kill. We even played like Clash stuff, Susie and the Banshees. Like we were just like mixing it all up. So to be at X-Ray Specs, because I would listen to these bands and go, man, they're so like dope. I want to play this. I just want to play the song just so I can get into it and like have fun. And so when I was able to do that, it was like the best feeling ever. So we got kind of like hooked on that feeling, I think, of just, it was like for fun. There was no pressures, there was no like, but you know, naturally as a musician, you're like, all right, but we got to do it right. Like, I don't want to sound like shit either, you know? And the cool thing is that they were all experienced and we were all just about it. So it worked. And I remember like when we got hit up to do shows, when we first announced that we were a band, I announced it on my page. I'm like, oh, like, here's a side project I have, like, check us out, like, it's for fun kind of thing. I did not expect the response that we got. Like, I literally had all these people messaging me, hey, can you guys play on this day? And I'm all, holy shit, we're already getting booked for shows. And I was sending them, like, through text, dude, like, this person hit us up, and this person hit us up, and they were all tripping out, like, oh my god, like, what is happening? And we just said, screw it, let's play shows, let's have some fun. And someone was like, well, how much do you guys charge? And like, I wasn't really doing it for the money. I just wanted to have a good time with my friends and play some punk rock songs and like rock out, you know? And so when they asked us that, it was kind of a weird question because I didn't know what to say. And I told the girls, hey, like they just asked how much we charge. Like, I don't know. I'm all, what do you think? And one of the girls like said, dude, why don't, I guess because of all the things going on like around us and in the world, like, you know, you feel really helpless sometimes. Like, man, I wish I can do something, but I'm not that powerful, you know? But, you know, you really are. You know, if you want to make a difference, you can make a difference. It might not be like this explosion of a change, but you could definitely give back. And that's what we decided to do. We decided to like donate our money to like different causes, like immigrants, like the Mississippi Immigrants' Rights Alliance. That was a really big one because when I heard about that, it just broke my heart, and I couldn't stand the fact that this was happening and nothing like that. It was just happening in general, and I'm like, we got to do something, like even if we donate. And our first show was dedicated to raising money for it, and that felt so good to raise $500 and just like give it back. And it was like the best feeling. So I really loved that idea that we were doing that. It felt like so like empowering to be able to not just talk about it, but be about it and be like, no, we're going out there, we're gonna play the show and it's fun, and then we get to like help people out, like whoever we choose, whether it's like, you know, for autistic kids or people that are, you know, dealing with different things or different causes. I mean, we did a bunch of stuff, so that was like really rewarding for sure. So that was like our thing, and I think a lot of people really loved that we were doing that. So we just kept getting hit up, and we were like, you know, obviously, you know, we want to make it fair for us too. You know, if we drive a little further, we're gonna give ourselves gas, but it was never like we pocketed or anything. Like we were just doing it for the fun of it, and if we made some cash, we're like, who should we donate to this time? And people dug that. I think that we were, you know, trying to like do something good from being able to do something we love and that we're able to do to like for a good cause. That was really cool. So I feel like I've always wanted to do that, and I feel very accomplished that I was able to do that with them.
The soul scene is a really big soul scene right now, and everybody wants the new 45, and everybody's really after it. It's just huge right now. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it looks like you have recorded a song with Adrian Carmine, Can you tell me about that experience and what the name of that song is?
Sure. So basically, like I was stating that their thing is, you know, those like hard to come by records, super rare. They're all about that. So it's a pretty cool idea. Their thing is, you know, I have my original on one side, and then the B side's gonna be a rare soul song, like a cover, like a remake. Because technically, to get that actual record, either they're nowhere to be found or they're insanely expensive. So their thing is, you know, let's do this song and we could put this 45 out, but it's gonna be like from today, and it'll be more like affordable for people that can't afford to spend thousands of dollars on a 45 and really want that song. And they try to keep it as original as possible as far as like the production. We don't like, you know, a lot of the times like when people cover songs, which is cool, sometimes they like change it up and make it their own, or it's a different style that kind of conforms more towards whatever's in at the time. But their thing is, no, like we want it to sound authentic, and I dig that. So where Adrian comes in, they have him, basically he does the tracks, and I think he does it all by himself. And I heard about him through Trish, because he actually rehearsed with us when we backed her for one of her shows, and it was like a sectional, so he was just kind of there playing while we were singing. And I thought, like, man, this guy plays very well, and he's never played with this before, and he's like playing all the songs like to the T. And then when when I heard that he was doing his own stuff, I was like, wow, like he's really talented. And then he started working with Sola, and I could see how excited he is about it, because he's getting this opportunity to work with this label and do what he loves. And I don't think he realizes how good he is, because he's dope, man. Like, he's able to put these songs together on his own, and he knows how to work like all the software, and that takes, oh my god, like all that, like even me using GarageBand, like it's so fun, but I had to really like study it and learn like the basics. But the fact that he can go in there and remake this track and make it sound like to the T is amazing to me. And the sound and everything is just wow, like he knows what he's doing. So that's where he came in. He did the track, and this particular track, it's called Girls Have Feelings Just Like the Boys Do. It's by Dalla Humphrey, and I personally never heard the song before. He made it happen. He made it sound like authentic and pretty damn close to the original. Obviously, like, it sounds a little cleaner because of the technology, but the way we recorded it was analog anyway. Like, when I recorded the vocals, I recorded it analog, so that was a cool experience. But that's where Adrian came in. He did the track, he killed it, and then I just sang over it, and I learned the song. And that song was like challenging, because first of all, I never heard it. So my thing is, I really have to learn a song, feel the song, like get the whole vibe of it for me to be able to like kind of perform it. I mean, I'm recording it, but I'm also performing it, because you have to put that emotion into it and that feeling. So I'm like obsessive like that. Like, I'll keep listening. I was just like driving myself crazy, because I listen to it to the point where I get tired of the damn song. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. And then I'll be like, all right, I need to stop. Like, I'm being obsessive right now. Like, I'm listening to it too much. Like, whatever. And it was like high. It had like that moment where she goes freaking high, and I'm like, holy crap. But that was really awesome for me, because I got to just belt it out. And they chose a song that was like in my range, and I feel personally my voice kind of gets more showcased when I do sing higher range. So it worked out, and it came out really good. And I even had backup singers. Shout out to Adriana and Tatiana. They came and killed it too. So I'm really excited for that song. I think that one's gonna be dope, because a lot of people don't really do that style, like that slow ballad with strings, and it's like a dagger to your heart kind of song. Like, that's how they explained it. And it was funny, because when I recorded it, they were like, you took us to church with that one. And I'm like, what? Like, I never even heard that saying before, but it was hilarious, like, to hear them say that. And even the guys that the engineer and the guys that were recording it, I felt good after because they were like, wow, you really belt out that note, like you got into it. And I'm like, I'm gonna look crazy, I'm gonna be like, you know, doing crazy hand stuff, but it's like the feeling, you gotta put it in there. So yeah, that's like the only time I've worked with him so far as like the track. So that's gonna be the B-side. So I'm excited because it's gonna be my song, like more upbeat, and then you have like your slow, like tearjerker song on the other side.
When is this coming out? Do you have an idea just yet?
We're hoping by January. So by next year, early next year. That'll be a cool way to start the new year after this crazy ass freaking year.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Just like the storm on a sunny day, you come and you rain all over me. Now it's time, I think I moved on. Yes, it's time, I think I moved on. 'Cause when I'm feeling lonely, you're there. You have this way to show me you care. I know it's all a game to you, messing with my mind again. I'm through, 'cause baby, you're
No good for me.
baby, you're
No good for me.
and now,
I see.
and now.
I see.
I thought you've gone away. Now you're begging to stay. It's been too many